Have you ever been on a date and the person you're with seems to be a little tight on money? The way they order their food, the method of payment, or something of that nature kind of makes you wonder if the person is a cheapskate skate or not. On tonight's show, we'll ask the questions and try to determine how to tell when a person is being cheap, or maybe try to determine if they're just financially responsible. All of that on the Talk to Q radio show. No experts, just opinions. Episode number 947 starts right now.
T2Q Radio.
Hey, what up, Q? What up, Radio World?
Is that it?
What's going on, people? I want to welcome all of you to the Talk to Q radio show. My name is Quincy, and this is my show. And it's Tuesday, July the 6th, and I'm coming to you live via Facebook and YouTube from the T2Q Man Cave. As you can see, even though the NBA Finals starts tonight, I'm kind of in a football spirit, you know. It's only like 10 Sundays away from the NFL, so, uh, you know. Anyway, it's the first show of a new month, so let me do a little show maintenance for those of you who may be new. The show now airs every Tuesday. I finally settled on a day. Every Tuesday at 7:30 Central. That's 8:30 for those of you on the East Coast, 5:30 for those of you out west. If you happen to miss the live show, you don't have to trip. You can simply search for me by Googling Talk to Q, or if you're on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can just search for Talk to Q and find me there and find archives of the show. Once you find me, please follow me. This show is entirely supported by you. So if you don't follow or subscribe to me, then the show doesn't grow. It only takes a second to click on that bell icon or that subscribe button to show your support. Please and thank you. Maintenance complete. To the T2Q virtual phone lines I go. Let's see. I'm going to start here to the Lone Star State of Texas and welcome on Miss T, host of the Chats and Vibe of Miss T's show. Miss T, what's going on?
Hey Q, how are you?
I am outstanding. You doing all right?
I'm okay. I'm moving.
Okay, we'll continue to move. And I am going to go back to the T2Q virtual phone lines, and I have some show legends who are on the line. You know, the show legends have the special interest.
Hey, what up, Q? What up, Radio World?
What's going on, bro?
Oh, man. Bad or tired, man. But I'm glad I can make it. No practice tonight.
Okay. All right, back to the phone lines. I have a couple of more. From the 732 area code, the Garden State of New Jersey, please welcome on the show enforcer, the show legend, Ray. Ray, what's happening?
Oh, what's up, Q? What's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
What's going on, man? All right, and we got one more. From the 850 area code, the Emerald Coastline of Pensacola, Florida, making his way to the ring, the man in black, the Buckster. What's going on, Buck?
Hey, what's up? How's everybody doing this evening?
What's up, man? Man, that little thing song jamming right there. I like that.
No, I like that, man. That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. So we'll go ahead and kick things off. And so, Miss T, ladies first. All right, we're trying to determine what's considered cheap, and what are some of the signs. So, as a lady, Miss T, what do you consider a cheap date? If you go out with someone for the first time, what are some of the things you may notice that make you think that they're cheap?
I wouldn't necessarily. I guess it would depends on one's purpose or a definition of a date. To me, date is when you just spend time with the other person. How much money is spent, where you go is not always a factor, but you said the first date. From my experience personally, I was asked out for lunch. And when I met this gentleman for lunch, um, he didn't order. He was like,
Oh,
"Get what you want. I already ate." And I'm like, "What?" And it was awkward to the point that I didn't order. It just threw my whole, groove off because why would you ask me out for lunch if you're not going to dine with me? So
okay. All right. That's
that
unusual.
was that was very unusual.
Okay. And from the chat room, Wendy chimed in from Florida. She said, I had a guy order for me, then told the waiter we would be sharing it.
Oh, oh wow.
Oh, man. All right. So let me go to the fellas. Eminem, I mean, how do you determine if a woman is cheap? Most of the time, guys are the ones paying for dates. So what do you look for on a woman to try to see if she's cheap or not?
Oh man, that's a good question. Well, pretty much, how you dress. Not
Okay.
necessarily by the brand, but I mean, you can kind of tell by the flow of, how much maintenance they done put in for that particular situation anyway. So, um,
Mm,
now as far as like, how much money or whatever the being spent, if it's on the dude end, I mean, if it's just lunch or whatever, I mean, that ain't nothing. I mean, you start talking about, some real money and some real food. It's like, oh well, obviously we talking about fucking. You know what I'm saying? So, uh,
oh,
so you know, so I mean, so that, like I say, it all depends on the, it ain't necessarily cheap on the woman's end, but it's like how cheap do you want to be? If you real cheap, then you probably say, okay, this is casual. But if your ass talking some real money, well, I mean, you already know what the deal is.
I'm gonna come back to you on that for a second, Miss T. But before I do that, let me ask Ray's opinion. Ray, how can you tell if a woman is cheap?
I think by her conversation, her attitude. If her attitude is in the gutter, usually she is. So I think attitude has a lot to do with it. I mean, it can also be by the way she's dressed, and then it can also be by the things that she has on, such as hairstyle and makeup and eyelashes and things of that nature. So I would just say overall appearance.
Okay.
mm.
And Buck, I heard someone say that a man can spot a cheap woman by how she walks in high heels. Say if a woman can't walk in high heels, then she's not used to anything fancy. I mean, what do you think about
Wow.
that?
I don't know if that's really necessarily true or not these days because I don't know many women that can walk in those, in high heels now, versus what they used to do back in the day. Um, but I think you look at their clothes, look at their clothes, see how they present themselves, see how much time that they decided to put into this to meet up with you, and to me that will let me know, without saying it, asking anything like, hey, why'd you wear that? I would find out, you know, even if they got ready that morning and met for lunch, or, they changed at, time they got off or what have you, you could tell a lot by how much time and effort that they put into themselves to get ready for this date.
All right. Wendy co-signs on that. And so, Miss T, gonna double back to you about something Eminem said um, about how much you order determines how the night's gonna end. As a woman, do you feel? I'm not gonna say pressure, but do you feel in your mind, based on how someone is spending money on you on a date, like, okay, this dude gonna want something, and I'm gonna have to either tell him this is not what it is, or whatever the situation, however you handle it. Does that go into the back of your mind when you're on a date? Is that something that makes a woman uncomfortable at times?
It doesn't make me uncomfortable because I think a lot of men do have that expectation, but then you have those men that just trying to flex and they don't mind spending it. So everyone doesn't have that narrow mind of thinking that they're going to be expecting something at the end of the date. because I done ordered steak, shrimp, and lobster. That I mean, that's no, I don't think that. I think a woman is gonna do what she wants to do, whether y'all went to Papa Do's or if y'all went to Long John Silver. It's totally up to her.
Okay. All right. So let me stick with you as far as what are some other signs that you may see? You gave the example of the guy who didn't even order, but are there other things that a guy can do that make you wonder if he's kind of cheap if you're out on a date?
Um, I wouldn't. I don't know if I would call it cheap, but I did have a guy to actually be upfront with me, and in a way, I did kind of respect it because he let me know up front. But he pretty much flat out told me that at that moment, he was like, "I just started a new job." He was like, "I can't afford to pay for both our food."
He told you that when you were there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Okay.
I mean, and it was up to me whether or not to stay and dine
Hmm.
or get my keys and go. But he did tell me up front. He didn't let, orders be placed and expectations currently build and build. And then when the check come, oh, by the way, I can't
Yeah.
afford to pay for it. Yeah. So I had to respect it because he did tell me up front, and that could have went, the totally opposite.
Okay. And Eminem, what about when you go out on a date and she orders everything on the expensive side of the menu? Do you stop her? Does it put pressure on the man as far as like, look, I'm not trying to spend all this money. I don't even know if I like her or not. I mean, what are the expectations there for guys?
Well, all right. It's pretty much the polar opposite of that previous situation that Miss T was talking about. That's when the guy has to control the narrative and be like, well, hey, just be straight up. Say now, uh, you getting across this threshold, so some shit finna be open besides
Oh
beside this
my
stove in a minute. You know
God.
what I'm saying? So, that's what it is. So either
Mm.
slow your roll or hey, you gotta order all the shit you want.
Eminem,
But
Eminem, he already off the rails.
I can. He never disappoints. I swear.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't disappoint.
Never.
And what's your take on it, Buck? How do you feel if a woman decides she's going to order everything off of the lobster and steak side of the menu?
I don't worry about it because I got it like that. I hate to even say it like that, but that's just the way it is. I mean, if I take somebody out and they want to order, I tell them, hey, order what you want. Because I got it. So it ain't that big a deal. So now, if they kind of cheap looking, then it might be something. It might be a big deal. But if everything is right, and they took the time and the effort to look good, then I'm gonna take the time and the effort to spend some money on them. Just that simple.
All right. Ray, what are your thoughts, man? Because, a lot of times the cheapest woman orders the most expensive thing on the menu when she's not having to pay for it.
Man,
Mm.
that's a true sign of a hood rat when they do stuff like that. See, if you take somebody out, they supposed to be courteous enough to say, okay, this is what I like to eat. That's no problem. But if you want to go steak, shrimp, crab legs, this and that, and half the food is still left on the plate and all that kind of stuff, nah, you gonna pay for that yourself. It's not about a dollar. Yeah, you can look big and do this and that. It's not about that. It's about somebody taking advantage of you. And don't take advantage of me. We trying to get an understanding. And you got to understand, is she interested? Or is she just trying to get something to eat, see how much she can get out of you before you get her and all that? That's hood rat mentality. You get a young lady to come out and say, hey, what type of food you like to eat? Oh, I like to eat Italian, or I like to eat seafood or whatever. Okay, no problem. We go there. You order entree or whatever you like, some wine, this and that. That's not a problem. But you just going back to back, everything that you ain't never tried, alligator and all this old bullshit. Okay, you gonna pay for that yourself because anything you eat, you should be able to pay for. Now it's a courtesy for me to pay for it. But if I don't, then hey, we ain't gotta talk because you ain't out of nothing. You ain't gonna open up your legs, and I wasn't gonna pay for your meal, so we even. So
Mm, mm,
leave it like that. A
Yes,
lot of
sir.
these guys got to understand. You got to stop sweating these fucking women. If they want something with you, they gonna want something with you, whether you spend a lot of money or if you're not spending a lot of money. Now, once we establish a relationship, you become a girlfriend. We have a regular situation going on, and you want us to go here or there or go out of town, no problem. But on the first date, you will not do that here.
I have a
Period.
question to the
Yeah,
guys.
what's up?
As a first date, at
Yeah.
what point with you guys is the destination not discussed?
No, I mean it's okay to go anywhere you talking about going, but my thing is this: you trying to pick the most expensive place in town when you got uh uh a 10th place attitude. You're not first class. Now, if you was first class all the way and you classy, you do what you're supposed to do, you hard working, all this, hey, not a problem. You got to step up to get to that level with the kind of woman you trying to talk to. But if you got somebody, she used to eat McDonald's because she with you, she want to go and eat at one of these fancy restaurants, Ruth Chris or something like that, and you supposed to go for that. And well, I do my thing, and I'm kind of just playing the field, or I'm not trying to get serious and all that. Hey, I ain't trying to get serious either. That's why I'm not gonna put no cash down. I'm not gonna put no credit card down. So now you pay for it. If she can't pay for it, she will wash dishes.
Mm-mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get caught up on these comments here. Aylin chimed in. I think this is Aylin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She says that she let her boyfriend know on their first date that she loved options and he let her get what she wanted. And that's probably why that's her boyfriend.
Her
and,
boyfriend, exactly.
and Wendy said that I've been out of the dating scene for so long. I am timid and I would not blow the bank. So she's not
Mhm.
looking to take advantage of anything. And Aylin also says I always return it and I take him out on dates too. Uh, let's see. Erica says, in Mississippi says, so expensive food equals to sex? 3 question marks. And okay, and she says her name is pronounced like Allen. All right. So, well, there's a lot to unpack here, but let me go back to Miss T. Miss
Mhm.
T, all right. I mean, let's say, you're someone who is going out on a date with good intentions. You actually have interest in the guy. How does it feel, or just as a woman in general, not necessarily for you, how does it feel to have a man not want to pay for your dinner on a date he asked you out on?
The way things have shifted now, I learned to not expect anything. That way I don't be disappointed. I've never not gone to a place that I could not afford myself. Um,
I mean, but is it
so
confusing though to you, or I mean, how do women take it?
it's like I said, I go in it with an open mind, but I would think that the guy would be courteous to pay for the first date. However, I would not be surprised if he did not.
Okay, all
I
right,
wouldn't.
and I'm curious to the ladies in the chat room. I mean, how do you feel when a guy asks you out and then once you get there, he decides that you're going Dutch or something like that? Let me know your feelings on that for those in the chat room. And to the fellas, what about coupons on a date? I mean, how did the
Mm-mm.
guys feel about coupons? Anyone want to jump in on that? Is it cool to use a coupon on a first date?
Man,
Hell
that's up to
yeah.
completely.
It
It's
might not
completely up
be.
to the individual.
I
But
mean,
I
my
mean,
thing is, go ahead, but
and my thing is this. I mean, I don't typically use coupons for anything, but
Mm.
every once in a while, simply because I don't have the app space on the phone to use all these special deals or whatnot. I got like maybe two extra restaurants that I can use. 'Cause I got a lot of business stuff on my phone, so I don't really have a lot of room to be putting every single solitary restaurant that I go down to, go eat at on my phone. But I mean, it does have its advantages, but to me, not something that I really do on a, regular basis. But it's all right, if that's what you want to do it. I mean, just as long as it's, as long as you're taking care of it or what have you, it should be all right.
Okay. And Eminem, you were gonna say?
Oh yeah, man. That's called, I mean, wouldn't it be a shame if somebody's on a date and somebody's supposed to be like a person that's into financial literacy and all that stuff like that? It's like, man, nothing wrong with no coupon. Shit. 'Cause my thing is like what you, it's, I mean, especially if the WAP ain't on your end, it's like, well, hell, as long as the food tastes good, that should be all that matters.
All right.
If it's buy one get one half off, that's
it's nothing wrong with that. People think if you use a coupon, you running
I'm
short
like,
of money. That has nothing to do with you being economically sound or financially literate. And I think people need to get out of that. Somebody want to use a coupon. I generally don't, but if I had one, I wouldn't be afraid to use one because something were to go wrong or whatever, that's not a problem here. I can still do whatever I need to do. But I think it's a good idea to use a coupon. Saving money, it ain't nothing wrong with saving money.
Okay. And Miss T, I'll ask your opinion, but let me get caught up on the comments. Dope discussions with Erica chimed in from Louisiana. She said the man should choose the place to meet and stop letting the woman choose if he's worried about how much money to spend. She also says if I pay for my food on the first date, there won't be a second date. Erica says I'm old school. The guy should pay on the first date. Wendy says if I ever have a man to spoil me, you have to pick me up off the floor. All right. And Alan says, I agree with Miss T. When I was still dating, I never had high expectations to the food to have my food paid for. Okay. And Erica also says, why would you take me somewhere on a date that you can't afford to pay for the meal?
Mm-hmm.
No,
All right.
it has nothing to do with that. It's about principle. You understand? I don't care. I got 10 grand in my pocket. If I see you running it up like that on stuff that you can't even eat, why should I accept that if you are a man?
Well, she said if you couldn't afford to pay for the meal, not if you had it or someone trying to take advantage of it.
Oh yeah, I agree 100% there. Why would you take a girl to Ruth Chris and you only got $75 for the date? Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wendy says she'd be okay if someone said up front, hey, I have a coupon, want to go. And Miss T, what is it? How do you feel if you're out and someone pulls out a coupon to pay for the meal? I mean, does that matter to you at all?
I mean, it wouldn't matter. I mean, some would consider it tacky. Some would consider it frugal, or someone might think it's of being financially responsible. It just depends on the person that you're with. But if the other party isn't paying, then it really shouldn't matter.
Okay. And so how can you tell if someone's being cheap or if they're being financially responsible? Maybe they have priorities, so to speak. So, Buck, I mean, what do you look for to tell the differences? Or as a man, how would you explain to a woman what to look for to determine if someone who's taking her out may be cheap or just maybe a little financially responsible?
I mean, body language says a lot. I mean, if the person comes out and they seem like they're just not sure about things, and even though if they've picked the place and they still don't seem like they're quite right, that kind of lets me know what's going on. Maybe they're scared that they might see somebody that they are interested in while you're out on a date, which that opens up a whole nother can of worms right there. But if they're just uncomfortable and they're fidgety, not really answering the questions, those types of things kind of gets me kind of wondering what's really going on.
And Eminem, how would you explain to a woman, like if you had to explain to your daughter or something, she thinks that maybe someone she went out with was maybe cheap, and you want her to be able to discern if he's cheap or if he's just financially responsible.
Well, like I say now, if we talking about me, I'm gonna say nah. That's good. You try to keep that you try to keep that deficit as low as possible. Hell, if he talking dollar menu, that's what I'm talking about. Cause I already know the nigga thinking when you going up there. You know what I'm saying? So, well, like I say, but a lot of modern day women ain't really had that shit kicked to them like that. But yeah, you control the narrative to an extent, but not really. Cause like I say, all this shit is a game anyway. You know what I'm saying? You gotta learn how to play it. But that's a whole nother show. But yeah, man. But the question, yeah, man. Nah. You let the guy determine the money. You don't never ask. You don't never ask him. It's too much. Don't accept. You know what I'm saying? Oh, ain't nothing wrong with no damn dollar million. Who is this and this in the comments? Yeah, Erica. Ain't nothing wrong with no dollar million.
Erica.
Shit.
I hope you at least let us supersize
hey,
him.
like I say, what and the thing about it is, I mean, in a different situation, boy, I like to test out a whole lot of these people because, see, like I said, your conversation, right? You ain't even thinking about what we talking about eating anyway. Shit, I don't care. We eating nothing but a fucking taco. You know what I'm saying? You floating and buzzing, it ain't gonna matter. The main thing is them drinks. Keep them drinks rolling. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's another show.
All
Yeah,
right.
but if you young and you under 25, don't let that nigga spend no money. I don't care if he do got it. Don't let him spend. Say, oh no, that's good.
Because you think the expectations are gonna
Getting
come
fat
with
enough
it,
for the
right?
kill. Exactly. Literally, you getting fat enough for the kill. Straight guts.
All
Too
right.
short, baby. All in them.
Erica in Louisiana said we're gonna be hungry in 30 minutes and running to the bathroom. I guess talking about the Taco Bell. And Badman chimed in from Arkansas, talking about the 4 for $4. And got Bill Janice that chimed in, said hello. What's up from the Twitter world? And so Miss T, and we'll get ready to wrap things up in just a second. But Miss T, all right, let's say a guy is definitely cheap. Okay. I mean, maybe he's admitted it or just that he's cheap. All right. Do you feel like your happiness would not be a priority for him if he always chooses, what his wallet says more so than what you may want or need?
Are we talking cheap or are we talking frugal?
Well, you know what? Let's say, well, either one, whatever makes the question easier for you. Some people think it's one and the same depending on who you ask.
Yeah, I can see where, people might think it's the same, but it is slightly a difference. But I was in a long-term relationship too, so this dating thing is, new to me also. And I would want someone to at least match what I have or more. But if you are truly in the right mindset and if you are truly seeking a relationship or whatever, then the financial part is not going to really matter. As long as we can balance each other out in any kind of way, or as long as one person ain't just constantly the one spending, I think it can be okay. But if you just don't ever want to spend yours, and I don't like that. I
You
don't
think of
mind, going half, on dates or whatever in our relationship, but that is a relationship. I think it only
mhm.
becomes cheap when you're trying to date 50 women instead of just one or two.
Do you think a person that controls his money will ultimately try to control his woman?
He can try to do whatever the hell he want. A woman ain't go be controlled if she don't want to be, and I know I'm not. Mm-mm,
All right.
absolutely not.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap things up, and we'll get to our final thoughts. Um, let's see. Now, as far as what's coming up in the upcoming week, like I said, the show is now every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So you can set your calendar now. I have a set date. Next week should be a very interesting show. Why has America stopped working? A lot of people, kind of balled on the unemployment benefits. And now that that's gone away in a lot of states, people still aren't going back to work. So we'll discuss next week why we think that is, why there are so many places that still have staff shortages. So that's next week on the Talk to Q radio. So, okay, final thoughts. And let's see, Buck, I will start with you on your final thoughts on the evening tonight on, are you responsible or are you cheap? You're on mute, sir. There you
It
go.
won't let me click over. Can you hear
There
me?
you go. I got you.
All right. For some unknown reason, it's not showing on my end. But anyway, um, anytime you go out on a date, you need there should be some probing questions that you ask before you go out on that first date, just to kind of figure out, what you're dealing with, and that goes for both sides. I mean, you got to figure out what's going on and see what's going to be, you know, balanced for both of you guys. So you got to ask the questions. If you don't ask questions before the date, the date's probably not going to go the way it needs to go. So do your due diligence first. Don't go out there and you ready to, ball out. And, this person is not ready to, meet you halfway. I mean, you can find a whole lot out by just asking some questions before the date even starts. So, that way, everything is, cordial when you meet up, and hopefully that, both sides are interested and you can have a second date. So do your due diligence. That's the most important thing. Communicate. And there's no communication in today's dating world. There's a lot of ghosting and all that kind of stuff. A lot of fake people out there. I'm not one of these people that kind of like to meet people online. I like to meet people out, see what they're about. See how they interact with other people.
Mm-hmm.
That lets me know whether I need to interact with them or not. So do your due diligence. That's the main thing. And ask the right questions. Therefore, you can have a successful date. I mean, the dating world today is crazy. It is wild. It's real wild. So you just have to make sure you do the right things. So other than that, great show. Glad we had all the guests on tonight. And looking forward to the next show.
All right. Thank you, sir. And Eminem, what's your final thoughts?
Oh man, great show, man. Pretty interesting topic, you know what I'm saying? But what Book said was that, that's really the best advice, to communicate and all that. But you know what I'm saying? But but like I say, but I'm kind of more traditional. Of course, I've been out the scene for years, but more traditional. So, with them old rules of thumbs and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, hey, when you want more, you got to get it. Hey, it more gonna be expected. So and but so and that used to how things used to balance like that, because but now everything is insensitive and all that shit. But used to be like, man, if if especially in some of these smaller places or whatever, if a guy talking about taking somebody somewhere, and it costs pretty good, at one time period, a young lady would kind of just be pretty straightforward, like, I don't know, because this and that. Then it's up to the guy, see what I'm saying, to keep it going, and vice versa, so to speak. But now ain't nobody communicating. But so just rule of thumb, if you cross some old schoolers, what I'm saying, if you don't know your limits, then you're gonna find out what it is, because when the topic go from oh, the weather is nice, and I wonder who you got in the finals and all that, and just out the blue, the dude say, "Man, I bet you got some good pussy." Well, you already know you don't spend too much money, so hey, time to open the store now. But with that said, that lead me into my next segue. If you pass 13-13, you ain't got to worry about no damn meal because you're gonna have plenty of money in your pocket. Because you can shake what your mama gave you, bake what your mama made you, and then everybody happy. So just marinate on that.
All right, man. I appreciate that. All right, Ray, what you got, man? Final thoughts.
Yeah, this is a very good show, very interesting. I think it's a topic that a lot of people can relate to. I think if you are interested in someone or someone's interested in you, it's really not about the food. I mean, of course, I like to eat good food, and that's obvious, but I think that you do have to communicate. You do have to find out what the other person likes. But what we have now is we have too many females out here who want to have champagne taste with beer money. Oh, they used to this, they used to that, they used to this. But you look up where they grew up and you look at where they stay at, they can't be used to all these nice things because, okay, how can you be? But if you need to be, you want somebody that is reasonable. So if you guys go out to eat, and it's nothing wrong with eating steak, it's nothing wrong with eating lobster, but if you're trying to go to eat all three, all four, you trying to drink 4, 5 glasses of wine, your meal is $50, hers is 200, and she sit there, she don't see nothing wrong with that. That ain't the one for you anyway. And a lot of guys, a lot of times what girls will do, they're dressed for these low cut shirts and everything, and all you doing is looking at titties and you thinking about if you just get your chance to get your shot, you willing to spend whatever, like this is a strip club or something. Oh no, it don't work like that. Once you see that she is a user, you cut ties right then. She don't have to drop you, you drop her. And you sit there and you tell her why. Because as a man, if you have options, you can make those kind of decisions and you don't have to worry about what the outcome is going to be. So I think there are nice girls out there that you can take out, you can have a nice dinner with, and you can build with. But there are some that just want to use people after they get off a date with you. Then they'll let the side dude come in and knock it down, and he ain't even bought no food. Her stomach full off of what you bought. That's
Mm.
real talk. But all in all, I think that as you have working women and working men, if you want guy takes you out on a date, she should be able to take you out on the next date. And I have had this as a personal experience. You would take a woman out to Red Lobster, and then she want to take you out to a side joint where they may have burgers and fries or chicken wings or whatever the case may be. Now, if we spent 80 or $90 last week, why when you pay our bills total $40? But see, when you peep that, you gotta cut the ass loose. And some of them still ain't married to this day because they were selfish. On that note, great show, and let's get on with the next one.
All right. I appreciate that, man. And Miss T, I will let you shut things down to give your final thoughts on tonight's show. And as well, let the people know what you do and where they can find your show.
Okay, I am Miss T, and I do host the podcast Chats and Vibes with Miss T, uncut and unscripted. Pretty much talk about everything involving our everyday lives, careers, family, work, relationships, sex, anything that we pretty much deal with on a day to day. You can find me on Facebook as well as Anchor, Spotify, and pretty much the other social media and podcast platforms. And thank you again, Q, for inviting me on today as well. But in regards to my comment, I think when you're meeting someone for the first time, it should be just that, a meet. It does not have to be anything fancy for me personally. Um, why sit down and go through all these motions with someone that you might not even like? So keeping it simple, we can go to Starbucks, we can meet, in the mall at the Pretzel Hut and, just take a walk and just try to see if I even want to go on a date with you or if you want to go on a date with me and get outside of the box with this dating. Dating does not have to revolve around food. I'm tired of chewing. Let's go do something. Let's go race go-karts. Let's go bowling. Let me see what your pool game like. Let's go and be active. See how you interact with other people. I mean, food, movies, and all that for dinner, dates, that's so typical and outdated. Think outside the box.
All right, I think you make a really good point with that. You definitely have options, so I'm definitely digging that. And all right, people. So I appreciate you all taking the time to join the show. And one more comment from Erica, Dope Discussion. She said dating should include some preparation and forethought. If you're not looking to impress her, then you're not really excited anyway. All right, so she's just saying have a plan. All right, so, well, my thing is a lot of times it's kind of hard to determine if someone is cheap or financially responsible. Uh, you have some people that won't spend money on themselves, but they're generous to other people. So it's kind of hard to say. But the main thing is try to have a good time and just pay attention. You don't want to be in a situation in which you won't be happy. So just try to pay attention and look for any red flags. And, like they say, if a person shows you who they are, believe them. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Talk to Q Radio Show. My thanks to my show legend. Thanks to Miss T for joining in. Shout out to the chat room for all of you who chimed in from all over the South. I saw Florida and let's see, Georgia and Louisiana, Mississippi. So the whole Southeast represented. And you've been listening to the Talk to Q Radio Show. No experts, just opinions. Follow me on all social media under Talk to Q. You can search for Talk the number 2Q or just Google me. Everyone have a good evening. We'll see you next week, 7:30. Peace out.